Hi, everybody. Dr. Carolyn here. So today is part 2 of quarantine binging. And I don't know how your week has been, but sometimes life can just be overwhelming, lonely, and even maddening. Or at least that's how my week has been. And I know for me, as probably well for you, that can lead to you turning to food, your old friend food or our old friend food for comfort. And it's for many of us, a default coping strategy. So whether it's binge eating or compulsive overeating, food addiction or emotional eating, food can seem like, like it's calling us. But what it's really calling us to do, though, is go unconscious and, just kind of take a mental escape break to just let all the troubles of the world go away while we're having, our cookies or our cake or ice cream or whatever your food fix is. So seems like a good idea, but then we kind of come alert again. We wake up and realize that we have a lot of shame and guilt about binging or have kind of sabotaged our recovery in some way. So the question is, well, is it really the best approach to, use the default coping strategy of food? And obviously, that's one question that has an obvious answer, but I think a deeper question is, does it really help us to go unconscious, even for short periods of time? While it's a natural thing to want that when you feel overwhelmed, um, I think, as I said in the last video, this is a time where we need to even be more conscious. This is actually an opportunity for increasing our level of consciousness, and using food to go unconscious just kind of hurts that. So while turning to food is natural, we all know that when everything fails, when all else fails you, these behaviors, though, can be used to help strengthen your recovery and to help take you to a deeper place within yourself. So these behaviors should be seen as a gateway for a deeper understanding of yourself and your eating addiction. So what I'm saying is, let's stay woke if we can. If you default to food and that happens, then use that to go deeper and learn something about yourself and your food and body image issues. So, often we can think of food as the problem to all the world's issues, but, we know it's not. And that's why, while food can definitely bring us comfort and numb us and get rid of some of the pain that we may be experiencing, it doesn't really solve the problems that we may have. And when you wake up, the problems are still there. And now you have extra problems of guilt and shame or feeling like a failure because you had another binge. So what would it look like to actually shift your focus away from trying to escape the feelings you have and put the focus more on your body, on your physical well-being? You may not have thought about what makes you feel good physically for some time. Many of my patients in the Anchor program feel like their bodies are not their friends, that their body they have an adversarial relationship with their body, or they just feel disconnected from the neck down. But interestingly, your body is your greatest asset, especially in healing from food and body image issues. So one of the things that I know for myself is getting deeper into the body helps me to stay more emotionally stable. So from a medical standpoint, what the physical body needs is to feel good, is to have energy, to have some kind of nourishment so that it's not running on empty, like a car running on gas fumes. need some type of movement and rest and relaxation. Sounds so simple, doesn't it? Well, let's talk about what happens to the body during these times that we're going through now. Like, what does the body feel like when it's stressed? Well, I had a really stressful day last week dealing with insurance companies for a few of my patients in my private practice. And honestly, my shoulders were so tight, I could hardly move my neck from one side to the other. And, you know, when I would touch them, it just felt like two rocks on a rock on each side of my neck. My mind was racing, my heart was racing, and not in a good way. So it did not feel good, and eating that box of cookies did not help, honestly. So think of how your body also feels when you may have skipped foods. If you spent years dieting, uh, you may think that, well, you're an expert at skipping meals, and that's kind of your way of dealing with your food and body image issues. I've spent years kind of trying to cultivate healthy eating habits to get over food and body image issues. And for me, skipping meals is a disaster. You know, I get really physically sick when I don't eat regularly. But I know many people don't feel that way when they skip meals. And you may think it's good because it allows you to skip meals in the future. And maybe you think that's, you know, helpful in terms of losing weight, for example. But it's really not. What I have so many of my patients in the anchor program say, well, I just don't feel hungry, like at breakfast or lunch or dinner. And they decide to skip a meal because they don't feel hungry. Well, I just want to kind of clue you in on this, because if you are not used to eating regularly throughout the day, then your body stops telling you that it's hungry. It's kind of like anything else where your body can't trust you to feed it. It's not going to keep asking for food. So the fact that you are not hungry only means that you've been depriving your body for long enough that it no longer trusts you to give it what it needs. So what would it feel like to put your body's needs first? Well, one of the important skills we learn in recovery is to be more aware of what's going on in your body, to actually feel the sensations in your body, whether it's the sensation of hunger or fullness, the sensation of being angry or stressed. All of those things are important to feel, and that's part of what contributes to increasing our level of awareness, our level of consciousness. So this awareness will enable you to make choices that strengthen your recovery and assist in improving your physical well-being. So here's some tips that I hope will be helpful for you. Number one, get enough rest. Now, I know you may pride yourself, as many of my patients do, on being able to get away with as little sleep as possible. Some people think that, oh, I'm so productive because I only sleep 4 or 5 hours a night. But all that does is build up your sleep debt. And eventually, this will catch up with you. It causes a lot of wear and tear on the body. You may not feel exhausted, but maybe you get more colds or flu. Or maybe you do feel exhausted and even at some point reach burnout. Lack of sleep is by itself associated with weight gain. So it's telling you that the body is not in balance when it doesn't get enough rest. It's also associated with the higher levels of emotional eating and food cravings. So most people need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Now, no one can tell you how much sleep you need, and you can keep doing what you're doing, but if you pay attention to how you feel physically when you wake up in the morning, you'll have a good idea of whether or not you've had enough sleep and whether your sleep has been restful and restorative. So obviously you should consult your healthcare practitioner or ask for a referral to a sleep doctor if you have trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, or if you wake up feeling really exhausted because you may have sleep apnea. Number two, so the first one is getting rest. Number two, move your body. Yeah, that's another thing that people don't want to do. But just let's shift your perspective, hopefully, on moving your body. I'm not talking about exercise, which is in the mind of people who've been on diets most of their lives. It's just part of the diet mentality. I'm just talking about moving your body, whether it be walking to the cafe for your morning coffee instead of driving, or trying out new activities. It's not about punishing yourself or making up for overeating or binging. It's just shaking your booty just because it feels good. So think about that for a moment, and maybe even look back into your childhood and remember how good it felt to run through the sprinklers on a hot summer day or ride your bike around your neighborhood. Those are probably things that you haven't thought about, maybe going swimming even if your pool is open locally. And maybe you haven't done those things because of your size or feeling embarrassed about your size. But now's the time to reclaim your right to be in the body you're in and to be able to move the body you're in. Number three, nourish your body. So what I'd like to try to point you toward here is what the future of eating recovery might look like for you. So people who have recovered from food and body image issues eat when and because they are hungry. Now, with the caveat that I mentioned, I think in this video earlier, about if you don't feed your body regularly, it's not going to tell you when it's hungry. So you may have to eat on the clock for a while until your body begins to trust you again. But after that, eat when and because you're hungry. People who are recovered also eat foods they really love and foods that make them feel good as a result of learning to listen to their body cues. So many of my patients who come into the Anchor program tell me, well, I have trouble because I just love food. And let's just take an example. I have one patient who said, yeah, I just love food. So I said, what's the food you love the most? And she said, pizza. So I said, okay, well, just take a moment and write down for me all the things you love about pizza. And when she actually did the exercise and looked at what she wrote, she realized that she wasn't really even paying much attention to how the food tasted, what was on the pizza, how it felt going into her body. Her focus was about loving pizza was on how pizza made her feel emotionally, not physically. So when I say eat foods you really love, I'm saying eat foods your body really loves. And that is not code for quote unquote healthy foods. There's nothing wrong with eating pizza, but when you eat pizza, taste it. Taste the cheese, taste the crust. What do you like about the crust? Do you like a crispy crust? Do you like, what is it about the food itself that you really love? So people who are recovered from food and body issues no longer choose what to eat based on calories or what they think is good food versus bad food. So being healthy is really about having a body that supports you in all you choose to do. I want to say that again. Being healthy is about having a body that supports you in all you choose to do. A body that's able to keep up with your kids, a body that has the energy to do the work that you do, a body that allows you to be creative because it's feeling good and healthy, not feeling tired and out of sorts. For this to happen, remember, your body must have nutrients, must get enough rest, and must move. It's not asking for much, really. It's pretty simple, just to be provided with a chance to show you how great it feels when you take care of your body. That's what your body wants. It just wants to show you how great you can feel. So this is the work of recovery. It's not easy, I'm not saying it is, and it's not fast. And this is what I talk to people about in the Anchor program, because so many times you go into a program thinking it's yet another diet, and in 3 months you're going to feel great and have conquered all of your issues from when you were 5 years old. It's not going to happen. It's taking one little step at another and being able to maintain the steps that you take. So it works when you prioritize yourself and do whatever it takes, as many times as it takes and for how long it takes. So your homework, if you choose to accept it, is imagine a future you living life without binge eating, emotional eating, or food addiction. What would that future you look like? What would she or he wear? How would they walk? What expression would there be on their face? What would their energy level be like? What would they be doing with their lives that might be different? Who would they be associating with? Just imagine all of the parts of you without your current food and body image issues. So I just want to remind you that we have a new anchor program starting really, really soon. So in the notes below is a link to where you can find out more about the anchor program, and you can sign up for a free consult to see if the anchor program is a fit for you. All right, I look forward to talking to you next time. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can be notified whenever there's a new video, and tell your friends about it. Okay, this is Dr. Carolyn signing off. Talk to you next time. Thanks.